James had always felt invisible. Not because people were unkind, but because no one really noticed him. He was the kind of person who could walk into a room and leave without anyone remembering his face. He lived in a small apartment on the third floor of an old building. The paint on the walls was fading. The lights were dim. At night, the only sound was the quiet hum of the city outside his window. Every morning, his alarm rang at exactly 7 o'clock. The same sound, the same routine, the same life. He would sit up slowly, rub his eyes, and stare at the wall in front of him. Sometimes he stayed there for a few extra seconds, as if he was waiting for something to change, but nothing ever did. He got dressed, he made a quick cup of coffee. Sometimes he skipped breakfast. Then he left. The streets were always full. Cars moving fast, people walking faster. No one looked at each other. Everyone was in a hurry. James walked to the bus stop, stood in line, and got on. The bus was always crowded. People stood close together, holding their phones, checking messages, watching videos. No one spoke. It felt like everyone was alone, together. At work, it was the same story. A small office, gray walls, rows of desks. James sat in the same chair every day. His job was simple. Open emails, answer questions, enter numbers, repeat, hour after hour. Sometimes he looked at the clock. It felt like time was moving slower just to test him. His coworkers talked, but not to him. They laughed, but not with him. James didn't hate his life, but he didn't love it either. It just existed. Until one day, something small changed everything. It was during lunch. James sat alone, as usual, holding a simple sandwich. He wasn't really hungry, just tired. He looked around the room without thinking, and that's when he noticed it. A man near the window was speaking loudly on his phone. "I don't have time. I'll eat later. I have too much work." But he could hear it in his voice. He wasn't just busy. He was stressed. Across the room, a woman walked in slowly, carrying a heavy bag. She dropped it on the table and sighed. "I still need to go shopping after this," she said quietly. "I don't even have the energy." Another man just sat there, staring at his phone, not eating, not moving, just exhausted. He watched all of them. For a moment, everything became quiet, not in the room, but in his mind. He slowly looked down at his own hands, then at his phone, then back at the people, and suddenly a thought appeared. Clear, simple, powerful. What if they didn't have to do all this? What if they didn't have to rush? What if they didn't have to go out when they were tired? What if everything came to them? Food, groceries, anything, right to their door. He sat there completely still. His heart started beating faster. The idea felt obvious, too obvious, like something that should already exist. But it didn't. And that thought changed something inside him. That night, James couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling. His mind was racing. He imagined people opening an app, scrolling through options, clicking a button, and then a knock on the door. Simple, fast, easy. He smiled in the dark. For the first time in years, he felt excited about something. The next day, he told his best friend. He explained everything, the idea, the system, the future he could see so clearly. His friend listened, then laughed. Not just a small laugh, a loud one. the kind that makes you question yourself. "Come on," his friend said. "People won't trust that. Why would someone order food like that? This is not realistic." James laughed too, but it wasn't real. It was the kind of laugh people use to hide disappointment. He tried again, this time with his family. They didn't laugh, but somehow that felt worse. His father looked at him seriously. "You have a stable job," he said. "Why risk everything for an idea?" His mother's voice was soft. "We just want you to be safe." Safe, that word stayed in his mind. Safe or stuck. Days passed, then weeks, and slowly doubt began to grow. Late at night, James would open his laptop. He would start working, then stop, then close it. "Maybe they're right," he whispered. "Maybe I'm wasting my time." He looked at his small room. The silence felt heavier now. He checked his money. It wasn't much, not enough to fail, not enough to try again. And that was the hardest part, not knowing if this idea was smart or just a dream. Then, one night, he made a decision, not a loud one, not a dramatic one, a quiet one. "I'd rather fail than spend my life wondering." And from that moment, everything changed. He didn't quit his job. He didn't tell anyone. He just started. Every night, after long hours of work, when his body was tired and his eyes were heavy, he kept going. He built a simple website. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't beautiful, but it worked. Sometimes. He visited small restaurants. Most said no. Some didn't even listen. One owner said, "This is a waste of time." But one small restaurant said yes. Just one. And that was enough. The first day he launched it, he waited, refreshing the page. Again, again, again. Nothing. Hours passed. Nothing. The next day, nothing. The third day, he almost didn't check, but something told him to look. And there it was. One order. Just one. But to James, it felt like everything. His hands started shaking. Someone believed in his idea. Someone he didn't know. Someone who didn't laugh. He smiled. A real smile. The kind that comes from deep inside. That one moment gave him strength. Days passed, some good, many bad. But slowly, very slowly, things started to change. One customer became two. Two became five. Five became more. People started talking, sharing, trusting. And one day, James realized something. People weren't laughing anymore. They were using it. Years later, his small idea became something huge, something global, something millions of people depended on. And the same idea that once sounded crazy became normal. One day, standing on a stage, looking at a crowd that believed in him, James quietly said, "They laughed at me." The room was silent. And maybe I understand why. He paused, then smiled. But sometimes, he said, the only difference between a crazy idea and a successful one is the person who refuses to give up. And that person was the one no one noticed at the beginning.